You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
Hi, you're listening to my mom, Georgia Edson, on iCannabisRadio.com.
Hi, welcome. It is Monday, September 16th. I'm pretty certain that a week ago I said it was July something. I mean, it is just this summer is flying by and time is flying by. You know, Colorado has experienced a really, really rough last 6 days. As I'm sure you're aware, we have had some devastating floods in Colorado. It is, they keep saying it's the flood of biblical proportion. I mean, I personally don't think that there was a gentleman by the name of Noah who took two of every animals with the exception of the dinosaurs, and got in a boat because of a flood. But I can see after this week where these stories came from for sure. What a kind of terrifying experience that people have had. There have been more homes destroyed in these last 6 days than in all of the wildfires that we've experienced. It is just so traumatic and dramatic and terrible, and our hearts go out to all the people who have been affected in any way. I want to also remind people, the unfortunate reality of what happens in time of crisis is that there are people in this world who think that they're somehow going to make some money off of this, and they're going to figure out how to scam the system, and that happens with all kinds of crises that people set up false websites or what have you. So just be really thoughtful if people are asking for money for donations for flood relief, for flood victims and so forth. Give to organizations that you've heard of before. Give to organizations that you know of.
Good advice in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Good advice in general. If someone calls you on the phone, don't give them your credit card number.
Right. Send you an email from Nigeria.
Saying if you just, exactly. And, whether you like the Red Cross or not, they definitely provide a significant amount of aid and help first responders. They have specially trained individuals who go out to disaster areas all over the country, all over the world. Definitely give, but be thoughtful about the organizations that you give to. And like I said, our hearts and prayers go out to all of those affected. It's been overall, I'd say the last 2 weeks have been pretty crappy, to say the least. And I'm fairly positive that it can only get better. We've experienced a significant amount of loss and stress, and having kind of the world rain down literally upon us just makes it that much more challenging. Bright sunshiny days make you feel like, wow, things get better. But when the rains hit, man, that just, it just feels like it's a lot. It just feels like it's a lot. Speaking of a lot, I have a lot to talk about tonight, and I'm in the studio because it is the third Monday of the month. This is another 5 Monday month. Do you guys know that? Another 5 Monday month. I
noticed that. Yeah,
it's great for me. I like Mondays. I get to be here, talk with you people, but it's a lot of Mondays in a month, but it's the third Monday of the month, and the third Monday of the month means that we get our cannabis history lesson with our dear friend Greg Dower. So welcome tonight, Greg.
Thank you very much, Georgia.
And it looks like later on we're going to be talking a little bit about the origin of High Times magazine.
Well, we're going to talk about the first High Times. We
Excellent.
can touch on the origin, but we're just going to talk about it as a relic, and what has transpired in 40 years. It's a little time capsule looking back at this.
Great.
So we're going to go through it. There was originally something I just wanted to talk about previously regarding actually hemp in the first issue of High Times, but we're going to talk about it overall.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
And also we're in the studio with producer Kris. What's up?
Hello.
And of course, my friend Sam.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. A couple of things that I wanted to talk about that are pretty important. As you guys know, unless you have been living under a rock, we experienced, we meaning the planet, experienced a horrific tragedy on the morning of August 31st when Jenny Cush and her handsome, intelligent boyfriend, Jeremy, were driving home and were hit by a drunk driver who was driving the wrong way in the HOV lane on I-25, a major interstate running through Colorado. And Jenny perished in that accident that night. Jeremy, thank God, is alive and well and walking the planet with us. And as you know, we have been doing, there's a fundraiser on fundraiser.com. The link is on the iCannabis radio Facebook page. And as of today, there have been over $12,000 donated, raised, and that money will go to Jenny's kids. But, there's 4 of them, and $12,000 is a significant amount of money, and I don't mean to diminish that in any way, shape, or form, but it doesn't even begin to put a dent in the cost of 4 children for years and years in colleges and those kinds of things. So please give and let people know, even if you aren't in a position where you feel that you can give, just share that information, talk to people about it, and because you'd be surprised that even if you don't give, someone might be very touched by this story and how much we all love and appreciate Jenny and want to be able to help her children. And as you guys know, Sexpot Radio was on every Tuesday from 6 to 8. And a week from tomorrow, so the 24th of September, we are going to have the Sexpot Radio Grand Finale. It will be a fantastic event hosted by Jeremy. And you guys are all welcome. We want you to come live in person to the station. Be in the chat room. We want you to be able to say a few words about Jenny. What did Jenny mean to you? We want to put out a time capsule forever, a show forever that Jenny's kids can look back on and hear what people thought about their mom, that we can all look at, that Jeremy can listen to. So that when we want to be close to Jenny, that this is a way to do that. So it'll start at 6:00 on the 24th of September, and please come. We would love to have you, and everyone gets the opportunity to be on the air. If it takes a gajillion hours, we will do it till everyone gets to say what they want to say. And it will be great fun, and she will love it. And, of course, Jeremy will be here. There's a lot going on that week as well. On September 30th, there will be a candlelight vigil in honor of Jenny, and in order to remind people of the horrible decision it is to get behind the wheel of a car when you've had any mind-altering substances, especially alcohol. And so we want everyone to be able to join us for that event as well. That's on a Monday night. It's at 6:00 down at the Capitol Steps in Denver. So be there, and it'll be a good opportunity, another good opportunity for all of us to get together and kind of feel Jenny around us. I was just talking on before the show to Jeremy a little bit, and it's funny. I reminded him that a while ago to look for small signs because Jenny's always around us, and if you look for those small signs, you feel a lot closer to people. And he's been seeing a lot of small signs, a lot of people wearing. He said something about a man wearing a purple tie and a purple handkerchief, and he's like, "Who does that?" And I'm like, "Oh, someone who is guided by Jenny, that's for sure." And while my sign wasn't exactly the same, Gavin and I had we ran a half marathon on Saturday night, and it was a fun race. It was a fun race. It was out behind the Douglas County Fairgrounds. Are a series of trails, and unfortunately, it was touch and go up until the very very last minute before the race because of the floods. These trails had been, a lot of them had been flooded. And you could see, I mean, there are bridges that we ran over that the water was inches below the bridge. I mean, to the point, and it was dark. It was a night race. There were, over the entire course, there were probably, I don't know, maybe half a dozen generator-powered light towers. And those are great, but they only light up the course for about 50 feet or so. And the rest of the time we had to use our headlamps. And so there were two bridges that didn't have any railings. There were just bridges. And seriously, huge rushing water, fast rushing water, inches below the bridge. And I was holding on to Gavin because, he's 8 and he runs serpentine. No matter if he's trying to run a straight line or not, he was running serpentine. And I thought, he's going to run right off this bridge if I don't hold on to him. And so we were running, and I've told you guys before that we listen to music when we run, and when we hear a certain Jason Mraz song, it makes us think of Niles, our friend who passed away in March. And so it feels like Niles is running with us, and he runs with us probably, I don't know, 80% of the time that we do long runs. And so Gavin had said something about Jenny hasn't run with us, because we have a song that makes us think of Jenny as well. And I was like, yeah, I just don't really picture Jenny kind of coming out and running with us like Niles might. And then surprisingly enough, we saw a bunny rabbit. So it's, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night. It's dark. It had been raining. To my knowledge, bunnies aren't particularly nocturnal, right? I mean, I don't know. The Easter bunny is, but and I was just like, well, Jenny didn't want to run with us, but she definitely used her connections to get that bunny rabbit on the course, because there's very few places on this entire course where there weren't trees right next to or water right next to the path. So there wasn't really enough space for a bunny rabbit, or to see a bunny rabbit, nor was there enough light to see a bunny rabbit. So it just hit it just right. And there he was. And so we stopped and we kind of looked at him. He was not interested in us in the least. And he was a little pissed when, you kind of forget when you're wearing a headlamp, you kind of forget that you have it on. So I turned to him and shined it right in his beady little eyes, and he was pissed.
A little red.
He looked like demon eyes, which Jenny would have appreciated. But yeah, it was a good run. So be looking for signs. Be looking for signs, and definitely join us on September 24th. It will be a good time. We will have food. We will have people. We will have memories. We will have some tears. So we will also have tissue. But mainly, we're going to have a lot of laughter, and we're going to remember all those wonderful things. And we're going to talk more about unicorns and rainbows and that glitter and all that kind of stuff than you could possibly imagine, because that's what made Jenny. So I hope you all can join us. And if you can't join us in person, definitely send us some messages, and we will make sure that those get included in this as well. We are probably going to take a quick break, huh, Kris? Yeah. So I'm Georgia, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and we're going to be back in just a little bit, and we're going to talk with Greg Dower about High Times Magazine. See you in a minute.
The Law Office of Edson, Mayton and Matz provides criminal defense, family law, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running a medical marijuana center, optional premises cultivation operation, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout the state of Colorado. We're focused on providing high-quality service and customer satisfaction. We will do everything we can to meet your expectations. WarrenEdson.com. Edson, Mayton and Matz in Denver, 303-831-8188, and in Aspen, 970-948-7183. WarrenEdson.com.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
Hi, welcome back. So, no offense to Gary Johnson, but I think I'm ready to have Gavin do a bumper. That would be really cute. I would like it. Not that I don't love Gary Johnson, I don't love Gary Johnson. I don't love him, but I like his bumper. So I was just reading the chat room really quick, and it looks like some folks up north of Boulder have been housing a lot of the evacuees from the floods and could use some food donations. And if we could figure out ways to help facilitate that, Willie let me know, and we will definitely help promote that. Willie says that they don't need money, they just need food. They just need to be able to help feed these folks. So any way that we can do that, we definitely want to help make sure that the folks that you're helping, that we can help you help them. Does that even make sense? Yes, we're going to help you help them. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, so let me just also say that here amongst my show prep is my son's spelling list for the week, which is going to end up in my prep folder if I don't move it out of the way.
I just must add, I can't believe how many times you went over believe.
Believe. There are 3 E's in believe. Yes, and I'll do that for the next week until his spelling does.
He's got it. I do believe.
I do believe.
Yeah.
We have been talking a lot about how cannabis is pretty mainstream now. We've talked about how many television shows and songs and so forth talk about cannabis and marijuana and pot and all these kinds of things, and it's no longer this crazy, shocking thing. Which is true. I mean, there's probably places in the United States, and I'm thinking of, I don't know, Arkansas comes to mind, and I don't mean to be stereotyping, but there are places probably where it's much more difficult to have a conversation about cannabis, and where people have kind of moved forward in time and understand the facts about cannabis and no longer believe kind of some of the old stereotypes. But it is so mainstream. It is so mainstream now. Have you ever played Grand Theft Auto?
Of course, it's coming out in a couple hours, Georgia.
Of course. So I haven't played Grand Theft Auto since it was like the first or second. I mean, a long time ago, and a lot has changed in the game. And the graphics are crazy.
Yeah, the physics are great.
Oh my gosh, unbelievable! The storylines now are so complex and complicated, and the new game, you can be 3 different characters, and you can flip flop amongst them, and I mean, it is really unbelievable. It is unbelievable. I will say though that what hasn't changed with Grand Theft Auto is it's about stealing cars. So it's very kind of thug life, and that hasn't changed. It's just gotten, I don't know, sophisticated sounds like the wrong word, but it's really not. Like, the game itself has gotten so advanced and so complex that it's not. I mean, stealing cars is kind of just a small portion of what you can do. But one of the tracks that you can take has the main character running into someone who's talking about legalizing marijuana. So there have been scenes in Grand Theft Auto in the past where people buy marijuana or smoke marijuana. That's been in there. But now there is a character in the game that is talking about marijuana legalization. And I guess from what I understand, that you as the character can determine how you kind of react to that.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is so cool. I think I won't be able to play Grand Theft Auto again until my son's a little older. Yes.
In the Need for Speed game in one of the cities, there's a dispensary.
Oh, that's right. I knew that in
Really?
Need for Speed, yeah. And is Need for Speed, do they have city-specific, like Grand Theft?
Some of them, yeah.
Because I thought it was supposed to be L.A. Was it? No?
I think it's based, it doesn't tell you exactly.
Okay, it doesn't tell you where it is, but...
I think it's LA, it's on a beach.
Okay.
There's a green sign in the dispensary. I pulled my car next to it to look.
Of course you did. Of course you did. I think that's so great. Did I tell you guys about the fun concert that I went to a few weeks ago? Took my son and one of his good friends to a show at Red Rocks, and again, talk about just mainstream. So in Stonerland, stoners don't listen to this band called Fun, because Fun is kind of poppy and it's sort of top 40-ish, and I happen to really like it. But I was I don't know why, but I was so surprised how much pot smell there was in the air. I mean, just people smoking everywhere, and it was a younger-ish crowd, and then there was a handful of people like me, parents who had kids with them, who both listened to the band. But it wasn't your typical pot band, I wouldn't think. But again, I have to remember that these stereotypes are dissolving, and I can't propagate them either, because there really is no such thing anymore. The stereotype of people who smoke pot, the stereotype now is they breathe. They have minds and brains and arms and legs, and that's now the stereotype. That's now
make
it.
no mistake, those bad stereotypes are out there, and hopefully this mainstreaming of it, though, will just start again challenging some of their preconceived notions.
I mean, I think that we have made incredible strides, not necessarily just in the laws that affect drug policy, but in the minds of people.
Well, the most mainstreaming of marijuana that I saw recently was a local news blurb on a local TV station. I don't even remember which one it was, but they were talking about the marijuana joint giveaway at Civic Center Park, the protest against the tax law that we're going to be voting on in the near future. And the reporter said, and they'll be giving away a joint like this one at the event. And she was holding a joint in her hand. And she didn't claim that it was a joint.
Then she shoved it down.
She was saying, like, this is a joint. You wouldn't have seen that 6 months ago.
Well,
you would not have.
No, you're exactly right. Yeah. I mean, certainly we're probably a little bit different than other places. But the Denver Post, a week ago yesterday, so whatever that date was,
right?
I think it was I'm sorry, it wasn't the Sunday paper. It was last week during the week. The food section was cooking with cannabis. So you open the food section, and that was the title, and it was recipes for cooking with cannabis in the Denver Post.
Yeah, I thought
welcome to mainstream.
That was amazing as well.
Yeah.
I would not have expected to see that with recipes.
Recipes.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I found myself going, oh, look at this.
Right.
Look at, it was, rather than going, that's fantastic. It took me by surprise. I also think that we are so accustomed to being in the know of all the marijuana media.
Right.
Well, now it's so much bigger than this little cannabis community we've had for so long.
I think we just have to keep reinforcing, though, just to be safe.
Yes.
There's a lot of people who are used to edibles, but with our change in laws, there's going to be a lot of people trying them for the first time, whether they're visitors or people here in our state, and it's up to the bud tenders to just gauge how knowledgeable people are about these things, because it can be way more potent than smoking or vaping.
Absolutely. So there's a book that was just released called Killer Weed, and it's a fiction book by a San Francisco author by the name of Michael Castleman, and it's a murder mystery that takes place in San Francisco in the 1960s, and it's also sort of a primer on marijuana, and Michael Castleman is a baby boomer, and he has been smoking marijuana for years, and made this book about the 60s and marijuana use in the 60s and so forth, and really took it as an opportunity to be able to talk politically about marijuana as well. And the review of this book says overall, it's a nice, fun kind of read. It's not heavy in any way, shape, or form. But he talks about how how some of the characters talk about marijuana. And he said one of the characters' kids, let's see how old she is. Let's see. The character's elementary school age daughter gets kicked out of class for ridiculing her drug abuse prevention lesson as it pertains to marijuana. He says it's a little heavy-handed, as his pot-using character's discomfort with his wife's alcohol intake, which is so interesting because I know people whose children have been in trouble when DARE was what it used to be, for speaking the truth. So I'm not sure how heavy-handed that is, but I like it. And then the argument of the character's issue with the wife's alcohol intake is kind of an age-old issue that I think is starting to really peak right now. I think it's interesting that that there's starting to be this whole regulate marijuana like alcohol rather than kind of combine those substances has really started very different camps. Cannabis users are really now saying no to alcohol and looking at it very negatively, and which I can understand. There's a lot of negative consequences to alcohol, but for me, I'm all about personal freedoms, and as long as your choices don't interfere with my personal freedoms, I don't really care what you do. Just don't hurt anyone else. Don't do anything that's going to be harmful. But again, so here's this book called Killer Weed that has yet again made marijuana mainstream. It's not this scary book. It's not, when I do show prep every week, I always Google, what's happening with celebrities and marijuana, and 90% is so-and-so got arrested for beating his wife and he also had pot on him. So-and-so got arrested for, shoplifting and he also had pot on him. She did that, and those are the stories that are still being highlighted so much. Tommy Chong came out this week, very, very frustrated with celebrities who smoke and don't support the cause. He said, if I had $1 for every article I've seen talking about, quote, fill in the blank celebrity, end quote, getting caught on camera smoking marijuana or leaving a dispensary, I'd have enough money to run marijuana legalization initiatives in multiple states. He says, I know a lot of people love reading these types of articles. People see the celebrity marijuana articles and think, sweet, that celebrity smokes marijuana just like me. He says, I'm not one of those people, however. I look at those articles and I think it must be nice to be above the law. Meanwhile, everyday marijuana consumers are arrested because they're not famous. I want to challenge all marijuana consuming celebrities to put their money where their mouths are, or at least lend their celebrity voice to the marijuana reform movement. I want marijuana-consuming celebrities to realize that just because they can consume marijuana in freedom doesn't mean the rest of us can. That's why we fight so hard for sensible marijuana laws. As history has shown, average marijuana consumers have to fight as hard as we can to be heard, and we're often brushed aside and labeled as quack stoners. I've never heard anyone labeled as a quack stoner, but I'll start using that now.
No, but it's kind of what they're trying to get.
It's what they're trying to get.
Trying to say. Yeah.
Exactly. So Chong goes on to say, if more celebrities fought for marijuana reform, it would speed up the process of success. Celebrities have deep pockets. It would only take one dedicated, wealthy celebrity to run a marijuana initiative campaign in most states. I know if a celebrity was willing to put up $1 million, marijuana legalization would become a reality in my home state of Oregon. For that matter, if a celebrity used their stature to even talk about marijuana legalization, it would help out a lot and wouldn't cost a penny. A celebrity talking on a national stage about marijuana reform would be significant, far more significant than an average person talking about marijuana reform at their local supermarket. I have to say it kind of depends on the celebrity, in all honesty.
Bob Barker. He could donate $1 million.
Bob Barker could, if Bob Barker, if he spoke about marijuana, he would capture middle America.
But just to his last point, let's not discount talking to people about marijuana
That's
at the
right.
supermarket.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't think Tommy's trying to say that.
No. I think he's saying that when you're a celebrity, your voice rings loud.
Well, sure, yeah, you get publicity for saying something that's still controversial.
That's right, exactly. He goes on to say, one of my favorite sites on the entire internet is the Marijuana Majority. The Marijuana Majority website highlights famous people that have come out in support of marijuana reform. I tip my hat to people like Willie Nelson, who donated to the Oregon legalization campaign in 2012. And then he goes on to say, I challenge celebrities to be like them. It's great that people like Rihanna, Justin Bieber, and Miley Cyrus smoke marijuana, and we've talked about them before, and that they're often featured in articles, photos doing so. However, I'd like to see these same celebrities being featured in articles talking about how they donated to the cause or volunteered for a campaign, or at least talked about a campaign as a spokesperson or official reporter. So yeah.
They don't even joke about that on Portlandia.
Right?
No, not at all.
Portlandia makes me laugh sometimes.
Occasionally.
That makes me laugh all the time.
Makes me uncomfortable
so
all the time.
Yeah, I enjoy it at times. I admire their abilities as performers. I question some of the writing at times and the repetitious nature of
I like
character
that.
sketch
like the
comedy that this was bred from Saturday Night Live. So
Right. We're going to take another quick break,
Anyway.
and then we're going to come back and talk about High Times. My name is Georgia. You're listening to iCannabis Radio.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
Green Faith Ministry is for spiritual guidance, MMJ information, and networking combined with compassionate care on the way to enlightenment with all Green Faith sacraments. Green Faith provides charity assistance, including medical and food throughout the year. Contact them at greenfaithministry.com.
Hi, welcome back. We are, that looks fun. We are going to talk to our cannabis history expert, Greg Dower, tonight a little bit about the first High Times magazine.
thank you, Georgia. Thanks for deeming me an expert. I feel good about myself now.
That was it? That's all it took?
I thought I knew something, but I've been promoted. I appreciate that. And I've got the first High Times magazine here
That does not look fancy.
from 1974. No, it's not as
So
glossy as it would later get.
How many pages is it?
Well, let's see. It's about 50.
Nice.
50 pages, but it was founded in 1974 by Tom Forsad, who was part of the Underground Press Syndicate, according to Wikipedia here. And it was originally meant to be a joke, a single-issue lampoon of Playboy, substituting dope for sex. But the magazine found an audience in November 2009, celebrated its 35th anniversary. And I did attend that.
Nice.
Was it 30? No, I attended a previous one, the 25th one. Anyway,
Where was that?
It was in New York City, Midtown. It's a fun time. There were a few celebrities in the audience. Cypress Hill rapped, and there was a big ice sculpture of a leaf.
Ice sculptures are my favorite.
It was cool.
I like ice sculptures a lot.
But High Times, the first issue, meant to be a one-off joke on Playboy, and we're
Gosh, look at all the content in that. When you flip through, there's so much content.
well, what you've come to expect in High Times in the centerfold is a bud, and actually in the first issue of High Times, there's a kind of a softcore erotica shots here of man and woman getting it on in the woods.
Excellent.
And it's tantric yoga, the art of sexual union. Yep, and it talks about in tantrism, the bliss of coition is absolutely essential to those who seek wisdom and release from materialism.
Good to know.
That's right. So it's fascinating looking through this as a historical artifact. And is the music still playing? What we're listening to is a band reviewed in the first issue of High Times. It's Ash Ra Temple. They were a krautrock German band who kind of did free jazzy type rock improv. They backed up Timothy Leary on an album when he
Nice.
was in exile in Europe. And they say about this one that we're listening to, it's kind of a overview of their career up to this point, 1974, when this magazine was released. Their best album, Schwingungen, is an exercise in alienation, psychic disturbance, and ontology dished up full steam. Wailing guitar is laced with primitive chanting, ritualistic drums, and the whole thing is finally set upon by a guitar-driven feedback climax.
Nice.
So yeah, an album with the word Schwing in the title. Schwingungen, yeah. So which kind of goes along again with the first issue of High Times, because we had the tantric sex, tantric yoga article as the centerfold in the first issue rather than a photo of a bud. And there was also an interview, just like there would be the Playboy interview.
Nice.
Recollections of a lady dealer. And here's the pull quote. "If I can get laid while doing a deal, I do it. When you have to give taste to a man and it's just the two of you getting stoned, the chances are you may end up spending the night." And the interviewer says, but actually in the interview, "But don't they expect some special favor after that or try to get into your act?" And lady dealer responds, "Some do. But by now, most customers know that I keep my sex and my money pretty distant. In fact, I prefer guys who are into something other than dealing. The pressure is off me then, so we can relate on another level other than dealing." "But you just said that dealing can introduce you to men you like to ball." And she says, "Right, but with some conditions. They have to know up front that I already give good prices, and that my body isn't something that when pleased will cause the price to fall."
Wow.
So a little bit of feminism, or
right?
Maybe not. Issue of High Times. Well, let's see if I could just point out a couple other things about this real quick. The trans-high market quotations, High Times are famous for them. It's a listing of what weed is selling for in different parts of the country. And rather than be absolutely specific back then, they said in the first issue, New York, Philadelphia, Boston, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. Mexican commercial, $15 to $30 an ounce. Mexican fine gold.
An ounce?
Yep, $30 to $50 an ounce. Jamaican connoisseur level, $35 to $50 an ounce. And here's where Denver gets put in with other locales. San Francisco, Berkeley, Los Angeles, San Diego, Denver, Boulder. They kind of spread us out, the whole West practically. It says Mexican prices somewhat lower than New York City quotes across the board. So you get cheaper fine Mexican gold.
I love it.
In Denver than you could in New York City. But probably one of the most fascinating things in the issue for me is an article called Hemp Paper Reconsidered. It's actually an excerpt from a book called The Marijuana Farmers, and it came out in, I think, 1974, the same year as this magazine, and the contributor is Jack Frazier, and it says about him, Jack Frazier lives in the Bayou country outside New Orleans and collects rare 78 RPM race music records. He's the founder of Atlantis Distributing Company, a major dealer in underground comics, magazines, and newspapers. Well, basically, Jack Frazier in 1974, and just prior to that as well, was talking about things that Jack Herer would promote further a decade or more later. Jack's book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, Jack Herer, is internationally famous and gets passed around as a definitive source for background information on hemp. It gives you good go-to pointers on what the facts are out there and where they came from. And even Jack, in his book, quoted Jack Frazier. And in 1974, in the first issue of High Times, there's this great article about hemp. And it's amazing because it's called Hemp Paper Reconsidered. And apparently he compiled a lot of the stuff that The Emperor Wears No Clothes would compile as well, like U.S. Department of Agriculture bulletin about hemp herds as paper-making material, and the whole history of hemp, how the papers were made on hemp, and Buddhist texts from the 2nd and 3rd centuries have been analyzed, and a lot of it's principally hemp, made from bark and old rags,
Wow.
principally hemp. So he points out that just as, cotton revolution led to cheap clothing and all, the hemp revolution throughout the centuries led to the mass dissemination of printed material and ideas and thoughts. And without hemp, our civilization would not be, we wouldn't have gotten as far as we have. So it's quite amazing. What's kind of disheartening about reading it is that he's way optimistic on when these changes are going to take place, when hemp will finally be recognized as a great source by farmers. Well, he points it out that people already would like it returned here. But today, we got Colorado, Oregon, so many other states that want to get the hemp movement going. Rand Paul donated $25,000 to a hemp organization in his state of Kentucky. It just goes on. And Fraser, if it wasn't for Fraser, we probably wouldn't be where we are today, because I think he certainly inspired people like Harrer and people who have promoted hemp. But he was way optimistic as to when things were just starting to see with changes in Washington and Colorado's laws are taking us, or hopefully leading us. He says, actually, the repeal of the senseless anti-hemp laws and the restoration of the hemp industry may not be far off. As most of you probably know, the Consumers Union has recommended legalization, and various state legislatures have legalization bills under consideration. According to a recent story in Harper's Magazine, Iowa is moving rapidly in that direction, and the next marijuana initiative in California is sure to succeed. The optimists are saying anti-hemp laws, he means all marijuana laws, will be overturned in 1974 or 75. The pessimists say 1977 or later. I think it will be during the next Democratic administration. So you were spot on about hemp, Jack, but you're way off about when these changes would take place, because so many things devastated sensible policies about marijuana and hemp since he wrote that in 1974. Finally, we got a turnaround in the past 5-10 years or so.
But we're still talking about the same issues. I mean, that's what's so amazing to me. Here's the magazine for $1.50 in 1974. It's talking about the exact same issues that we're fighting for now. We haven't made progress in 40 years. I mean, that's not true. We've made some progress, but we haven't gotten there, especially with hemp. I mean, that seems like such a no-brainer.
It does. Absolutely. I think, if it was going to be legalized and done incrementally, it should have been done for medical patients. The federal government touched that, only gave like 14 patients medicine and turned away thousands, millions of people by the policies they adopted. And, geez, it could have been a whole lot different if we adopted sensible policies a bit earlier.
Absolutely. So how did you obtain the first copy of the first issue of High Times?
Well, there was used to be things called magazine stores that would sell like antique stuff, or antique stores that would sell like magazines, and there was a magazine shop on East Colfax, I seem to recall, and had a whole bunch of them from the earliest years, and this was behind the counter under the glass with some of the rarest of magazines. And I think I grabbed up all the ones that were in the store and brought them up and said, how much for these and that? And I think I got it at a good price when it was all combined. I don't remember exactly what I paid for it. I guess today it's worth anywhere from $30 to $150. There were different actual pressings of the first one. I was told by one of the former main editors there, John Holmstrom, that the first issue actually had like a silvery color, like foily cover with the print on it. So this is a little bit after that, because they were restocking newsstands for a while with it when it first came out, because it proved really popular.
I think it's so interesting that she's eating a mushroom.
She is. Well, High Times talked about all sorts of psychedelic drugs in its early years, all sorts of drugs. In the 80s, early 80s, it had kind of would later accrue a bad reputation for having had centerfolds of cocaine, stuff like that, rocks of cocaine, maybe with hash next to it or something like that. But editor Steve Hager kind of turned that around in the late 80s, refocused the magazine on just being about marijuana, not just marijuana, but that being its primary focus, and popularizing the notions of hemp and legalization.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to wrap up when we come back. Thanks, Greg, so much. I'm Georgia. You're listening to iCannabis Radio. High up in the Rockies is beautiful Frisco, Colorado. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies is a medical marijuana center with compassion for Colorado's medical patients. Looking for great meds grown organically in soil? You've come to the right place. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies is just off I-70 at exit 203. Check them out at the web at www.mmrockies.com. Their ever-changing strain and clone selection is updated on the website daily. When making a trip to the mountains, no matter the season, stop by Medical Marijuana of the Rockies. Make sure you say you heard about them on iCannabis Radio. You can call 970-668-MEDS to get more information. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, your mountain source for meds.
Whether you are a commercial grower or cultivate as a hobby, No Dough Urban Garden Supply is Denver's first stop for your hydroponic grow needs. With a wide range of products including House and Garden, Botanicare, and Fox Farm, their knowledgeable staff can get you started on your first garden or help you with your well-established business. No Dough Urban Garden Supply is located in downtown Denver at 1330 27th Street, 4 blocks north of Coors Field near MMD of Colorado. They are open 6 days a week from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 303-296-3424 or visit them on the web at www.nodoughurbangardensupply.com.
The National Cannabis Industry Association would like to thank its members who represent the leading professional businesses in America's emerging legal cannabis market. NCIA is the only organization that has unified legitimate cannabis business across the nation to fight for real reform in Washington, D.C. For more information or to make your business a member, visit us online at thecannabisindustry.org.
Hi, welcome back. So we were just making fun of Kris because in that break, Sam did an ad, Greg did an ad, I did an ad. Kris, no ad. Nothing from Kris. Are you just a pretty face? Okay. Got to get you working. All right. What else about this inaugural edition of High Times magazine?
How much we going on? Okay, well, in the first issue of High Times, they did have a cuisine section.
Ooh.
I mean, we're just talking about it being mainstreamed here in the Denver Post, but High Times had it in its first issue, and they suggested a way to make pot butter was to use 1 pound of fresh creamery butter, add 1 ounce high-quality marijuana, or 1/3 ounce hashish, and they say unopiated hash or keef only.
What's that mean?
Well,
Unopiated.
at certain points, from what I understand, you could get hashish that had opium in it as well.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, a little stronger.
That'll do it. That will do it.
And maybe that's a good thing to say about our industry these days. You're not going to get opiated hash.
Yeah.
Without knowing about it.
Didn't even know that
maybe
was.
Sold as such, and people were willingly buying it for sure.
Right.
But no, keeping the drug market separate and the cannabis away from the opiates.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What a neat heirloom
Little
to have.
time capsule, huh?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. As much as things change, as much as they stay the same, though. I'll have to say that. Well, that's wonderful. Greg, as always, it's been fantastic having you on. We really appreciate
you,
it.
Georgia.
What a very fun thing. And you are going to be traveling this weekend a little bit to Riot Fest with us, yes?
Yeah, I'm going to go see Riot Fest, and the 2 bands I'm really looking forward to seeing are Flag, which is made up of members of
Don't call it Black Flag.
previous
anybody.
versions of Black Flag. That's right, and Iggy and the Stooges.
Oh, yeah.
Iggy and the Stooges. They've got guitarist James Williamson, who was on one of their the third album called Raw Power, and he was different than the guy who's deceased now, Ron Ashton, who played on the first two as the guitarist. And he's just a badass, and he still sounds mean as well on the guitar. So I'm looking forward to hearing the combination of his guitar playing and Iggy's vocals.
Are they Saturday?
Let's see. Saturday is Iggy, and Sunday's Flag.
Sunday's Flag.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to AWOL Nation. I'm looking forward to Blink 182. I mean, it's going to be a fun event. It's going to be a fun
Hopefully
event.
it's got something for everybody.
I think it does. I just saw some pictures of. They were in Chicago this past weekend, so I just saw some photos of Chicago, and it really is like this giant festival, carnival. They had carnival rides, and which I don't intend to go on because they make me throw up, but I'll watch everyone go on those. So it'll be fun. It'll be really fun. It'll be a good time. So don't. If you're going to be at Riot Fest, don't forget to come to the Edson Maiten and Matt's iCannabis radio table. We're having some issues. We may not be broadcasting live, but we'll tell you all about it if we don't end up broadcasting live, and we'll figure it out before the end of this week.
It'd be nice if we could get a couple of the people playing over.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, why not? Do a little radio spot.
We signed up for press passes to be able to interview, and here it is, the 16th, and the event starts on the 21st, and we haven't heard, which is not unusual for music festivals to wait till the bitter end before you find out if you get your press pass and so forth. But yeah, we definitely wanted to interview some of the bands, so I'm excited. Yeah,
I'd help out with that. That's for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, of course, I'd love to have you. Thanks to everyone who came to San Rafael Palooza last weekend. It was really fun. It was amazing. There was a huge turnout. It was great to be there. We had a good time. We really had a good time. And Sierra, the mother of dear medical marijuana patient Landon, was at our table, and that was amazing. And we're going to have Sierra and her attorney Kris on the show in a couple of weeks. And yeah, it was very fun. So again, our summer's wrapping up, and this weekend's going to be great. We're camping. Greg, you're not camping.
No, I'm not camping. I'm going to be
at my house.
I'm going to be driving in. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you are.
Braving the lines.
Yes, I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, you bet.
We're going to camp. I'm a good camper, believe it or not. I'm a really good camper, especially car camping, where you pretty much have everything that you need right there. The rest of this week is going to be pretty fun. On Thursday, the Hemp Connoisseur from 4 to 5 p.m. Don't miss them. They had a great show last week talking to Jeremy from Sexpot Radio. Next Monday, we will talk all about, you'll hear everything about Riot Fest. It's going to be fantastic. And of course, In the Lab with Jennifer Murray from Can Labs is on 3 to 4 p.m. on Mondays. Daily show Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. John Doe Radio. Don't miss it. Thanks to all of our sponsors, Mile High Wellness, Noto Urban Garden Supply, Edson Maiten and Matt's, Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, Cuffle Collimore and Company, Medical Marijuana 101, and Run on Grass. Just a reminder, please do not forget to go on our Facebook page to look for the Jenny Cush fundraiser site, so you're able to donate. Yes, were you pointing at something that I should say?
On Jennifer's show next week, from what I understand, a Chicago TV station is going to be filming her. And Betty Aldworth is going to be on the show.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So don't miss that. Definitely don't miss that. And then, of course, a week from tomorrow, we are going to have the Sex Pot grand finale show. As we said at the beginning of the show, please, please, please come. If you can show up in person, we would love to have you starting at 6 o'clock and be able to talk on the air and record for posterity your feelings about Jenny and what you think her kids should know and her family should know and Jeremy should know, all the messages that you want to leave. And it will be a wonderful tribute. I want to thank you so much for being here. It is a pleasure every single Monday. You know, I don't hate Mondays. I really don't. It's a great way to start the week, to come to iCannabis Radio and to hang out with you guys, and it's just nice. It's just, we get to talk about marijuana.
I had a good time tonight.
Yeah. How about you, Sam?
I always love Mondays.
And we hope you did too.
How about you, Kris?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which part?
All of it.
All of it. Aw, I love you. Okay. You listen to iCannabis Radio, where we all love each other. We'll see you guys next week. Good night.